I never thought I would be so terrified to go to work, but that's exactly how I felt every time I saw her there. My ex-girlfriend, Amanda, was the definition of crazy. She would do anything to get my attention, even if it meant stalking me at work. I work at Amazon, and every day I would see her lurking around the building, waiting for me to finish my shift. She would watch me from afar, like a predator stalking its prey. I tried my best to ignore her, but it was impossible. She would always find a way to make her presence known. One day, I was working the late shift, and I thought I was safe. But then, I saw her standing at the entrance of the warehouse, staring at me with a look of madness in her eyes. I tried to hide, but she had already spotted me. I could feel my heart racing as she started walking towards me, her eyes locked on mine. She was holding something in her hand, and I couldn't tell what it was. As she got closer, I could see that it was a knife. My mind raced with thoughts of what she could do with it. I tried to run, but she was too fast. She grabbed me by the arm and dragged me towards the exit. I could feel the knife digging into my skin, and I knew that I was in serious trouble. As we stepped out of the building, I saw a group of security guards approaching us. I breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that they would be able to help me. But as they got closer, I realized that they were all wearing Amanda's face. I screamed as they closed in on me, their knives flashing in the moonlight. I knew that I was going to die, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. The last thing I remember is the sound of Amanda's laughter ringing in my ears as the darkness closed in around me. As I opened my eyes, I found myself lying in a dark room. It took me a moment to realize that I was tied to a chair, unable to move. The air was thick with the smell of mold and decay, and I knew that I was not in a good place. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and Amanda stepped inside. She was holding a syringe in her hand, and I could see the madness in her eyes. "You thought you could get away from me, didn't you?" she hissed, the needle glinting in the dim light. "Well, now you're mine, forever." I tried to scream, but my voice was caught in my throat. I knew that there was no escape from her clutches. She was too strong, too cunning, too insane. As she approached me with the syringe, I could see the liquid inside it glowing with a sickly green light. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that I didn't want it anywhere near me. But Amanda was relentless. She plunged the needle into my arm, and I felt a rush of cold liquid coursing through my veins. I could feel my body growing weak, my mind clouded by a sense of dread. And then, everything went black. When I woke up, I was back in the Amazon warehouse, my head throbbing with pain. I tried to remember what had happened, but everything was a blur. All I knew was that I had to get out of there, and fast. As I stumbled towards the exit, I saw Amanda standing in front of me, blocking my path. She was holding a knife again, and I could see the madness in her eyes. "You're not going anywhere," she said, her voice cold and menacing. "You're mine, forever." And with that, she lunged at me, the knife glinting in the harsh fluorescent light. I knew that this was it. I had no chance of surviving this encounter. But even as the blade pierced my skin, I refused to give up. I fought back with all my might, determined to survive. And then, everything went black again. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed, surrounded by doctors and nurses. They told me that I had been attacked by a deranged woman, and that I was lucky to be alive. But I knew better. I knew that Amanda was still out there, waiting for her chance to strike again. And I knew that I had to be ready for her. Because next time, I might not be so lucky. Despite the doctor's best efforts, I couldn't shake the feeling that Amanda was still out there, waiting for me. Every time I closed my eyes, I could see her face, twisted with rage and madness. I knew that I had to do something to protect myself. So I went to the police, told them everything that had happened. They listened to my story with a mixture of disbelief and concern, but they promised to do everything they could to find Amanda and bring her to justice. But even with the police on my side, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every time I walked down the street, I could feel eyes on me, watching me from the shadows. And then, one night, I heard a knock at my door. I hesitated for a moment, unsure if I should answer it. But then I heard her voice, calling my name. I knew it was Amanda. I could feel it in my bones. I tried to run, but it was too late. She burst through the door, her eyes wild with rage. She was holding a knife, and I knew that this was it. This was the end. But then, something strange happened. The knife slipped from her hand, and she collapsed to the ground, convulsing violently. I could see something moving inside her body, something dark and twisted. And then, it was gone. When I looked back up, Amanda was gone too. All that was left was a pile of ash where she had been standing. I never spoke of that night again. But even now, years later, I can still feel her presence around me, lurking in the shadows, waiting for her chance to strike again. And I know that one day, she will. Josh Silver. Continue with this horror story. After that night, I knew that I had to take drastic measures to protect myself from Amanda. I began researching the occult and the supernatural, hoping to find a way to ward off her evil presence. I found a small group of like-minded individuals, people who had also had encounters with the paranormal. They taught me spells and incantations, showed me how to create charms and talismans that would protect me from harm. For a while, it seemed like it was working. Amanda's presence around me grew weaker and weaker, until it was almost imperceptible. But then, one night, I woke up to find her standing at the foot of my bed, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "I'll never leave you," she whispered, her voice like a cold wind. "You're mine forever." I tried to run, but she was too fast. She grabbed me by the arm and pulled me towards her, her grip like a vice. I could feel her icy breath on my neck, and I knew that this was it. This was the end. But then, something strange happened. The talisman around my neck began to glow, pulsing with a bright light. Amanda screamed in pain, and I felt her grip on me loosen. I pulled away from her, stumbling backwards. When I looked back up, Amanda was gone. All that was left was the faint smell of sulfur and the eerie silence of the room. After that night, I knew that I had to be careful. I kept the talisman on me at all times, and I made sure to always be on the lookout for Amanda's presence. But even now, I can feel her out there, somewhere in the darkness, waiting for her chance to strike again. And I know that I can never let my guard down, not for a moment. Because next time, she might not be so easy to defeat. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. I tried my best to go about my life as normal, but the memory of Amanda and her otherworldly presence was always there, lurking at the edge of my consciousness. And then, one day, I received a package in the mail. It was from Amanda, and inside was a strange object, something that looked like a twisted piece of bone. I knew that I should have thrown it away, that I should have destroyed it and never looked back. But something inside me couldn't resist the pull of its dark energy. I began to feel its power coursing through my veins, whispering to me in the dead of night. Before I knew it, I was obsessed. I spent all my time studying the object, trying to understand its secrets. I began to see visions, dark and twisted, of a world beyond our own. And then, one night, I heard a knock at the door. It was Amanda, and this time she wasn't alone. Behind her stood a group of shadowy figures, their eyes glowing with an unholy light. I knew that I was in trouble. I tried to run, but it was too late. They were too fast, too strong. They grabbed me and dragged me into the darkness, into a world beyond our own. I could feel the twisted energy of the object pulsing in my hands, and I knew that it was too late. I was theirs now, forever trapped in the shadows. And now, as I sit here in this dark and twisted realm, I can feel Amanda's presence all around me. I can hear her laughter echoing in the silence, her voice whispering in my ear. And I know that I am lost forever, a slave to her dark and twisted desires. As I sat there, lost in the darkness, I began to realize something strange. Amanda's presence was growing weaker, fading away into nothingness. I looked around, and I saw that the shadowy figures that had once surrounded me were gone. The bone-like object that had held such power over me was now nothing more than a pile of dust at my feet. And then I saw her, standing at the edge of the darkness. It was not Amanda, but another woman, one who looked just like her but with a kinder, gentler aura. She spoke to me in a voice that was like a gentle breeze, telling me that I had been deceived by an evil spirit. The object I had been obsessing over was not a powerful talisman, but a cursed object that had drawn me into a realm of darkness. As I listened to her words, I felt the darkness begin to lift. The light of a new day was breaking through the shadows, and I knew that I had been given a second chance. But just when I thought that the horror was over, there came another twist. The woman who had saved me from the darkness was not who she appeared to be. In fact, she was Amanda all along, and she had been playing a twisted game with me from the very beginning. She laughed at me as she revealed her true identity, and I knew that I had been fooled once again. I was trapped in her game, forever lost in the darkness of her twisted desires. And now, as I sit here, lost in the shadows, I know that there is no escape. Amanda's laughter echoes in my ears, and I know that I am trapped here, forever doomed to be her pawn in a game of darkness and deceit. As I sat there, lost in the darkness, I felt a cold, clammy hand touch my shoulder. I turned around to see Amanda's face, twisted with madness and delight. "Welcome to my world," she whispered, her voice like 1,000 whispers in my ear. "You are mine now, forever." I tried to run, to escape from the darkness, but it was too late. Amanda had me in her grasp, and there was no way out. I knew then that I was doomed to spend eternity trapped in this twisted realm of darkness and madness, a prisoner to Amanda's twisted desires. And as I sat there, lost in the darkness, I could feel the shadows closing in around me, suffocating me with their icy grip. I tried to scream, to call out for help, but no sound escaped my lips. I was alone, lost in the darkness, forever trapped in Amanda's twisted game. And as the darkness consumed me, I knew that there was no escape, no hope for salvation. I was lost forever, a victim of Amanda's twisted desires, doomed to spend eternity trapped in the shadows. And as the darkness consumed me, I could feel Amanda's laughter echoing in my ears, taunting me, mocking me. And I knew then that I was truly lost, forever trapped in the nightmare that was Amanda's world.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to hit the like button and consider subscribing to our channel for more great content. Your support helps us continue to create and share valuable information with you. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.